out, when they released Yair Rodriguez, that I didn't think it was a great move for them to just release Yair like that. Remember, I told you guys one of the tactics, and this is just in the UFC. I mean, every promotion's guilty of this, but when they want to make a fight happen, and if the two parties are being difficult, meaning the two fighters, what they'll do is they'll release fake news. So when Yair tweet out fake news, it's a tactic, a marketing tactic that fight promotions will do all over the world, that will do to kind of create some sort of pressure on the fighters where they feel like they have to take it and let the fans down. So that's what happened when Yair and Zabit was announced. They were fighting in LA, and then Yair put out hashtag fake news. When it was announced, kind of, right? And even Ariel, who's probably the most legit journalist by far, goes, hey, that's not a done deal. If we're not reporting, it's not a done deal. They're still trying to figure it out. And obviously, I'm close to Yair's situation with CAA. That's who represents me, who represents GSP, who represents a ton of guys. So I just go to them. I go to the horse's mouth when I want to know what's going on. I don't make that stuff up. I'm not trying to, troll you guys or anything like that. So when they tell me what's going on from, what's exactly with the communications, and I see that the fight's being announced, I go, oh, there you go. There's the pressure for the kid they're trying to make. And I told them that Zabit fight is terrible. It doesn't make sense to me. You got a kid with a year layoff, right? A year layoff. He just had the biggest fight of his life. He got destroyed against Frankie Edgar. Just a terrible matchup for him. And that's an accumulation of mismanagement from his agents, his manager's side, let him fight Frankie Edgar after BJ Penn. Obviously, that was a shell of himself, BJ Penn. So then you only beat BJ. Here's Frankie Edgar, even though you have no wrestling and you're only 24 years old. So you ruin the shine, which you would never see in boxing. Boxing, like this kid Delaney that we're seeing, or Javante Davis, these guys have so many amateur fights, so many pro fights before they really get tested. They get this kind of build up before they're 30-0, 40-0, whatever, before they actually fight a legit tough guy who there's possibly they're going to lose. With the UFC, it's for whatever reason, it's like, oh, Yair, fun to watch. Here you go. Jesus, pump the brakes, man. Because you got to mold this kid. You got to turn him into the superstar. And he has to pass these tests, and he has to do this and that. But what you don't want to do is have his star run out of fuel and out of confidence because you're giving him terrible matchups. That BJ Penn is a confidence booster. Frankie Edgar's a career ender. And I don't think he's ever been the same. And I say this with fighters. If you look over the years, whenever a fighter loses, when they're chomping at the bit to get back into the octagon, or a boxer losing, they're chomping at the bit to get back in there, that's a fighter. That's their passion. When you see these long layoffs via Nate Diaz, via Conor McGregor, go through the list, person only fighting once a year, Ronda Rousey, these long, Brock Lesnar, these super long layoffs, it's a red flag. It's a red flag.
Red flag indeed. That was audio from Below the Belt. Brendan Schaub. Shout out to Brendan Schaub and Below the Belt, Chin, the whole team. Brian Callen, I'm a huge fan. Subscribe to TFAK, Fighter and the Kid, and Below the Belt. Now, I agree with what he's saying. But I would like more context to what's going on with Yair Rodriguez. To be completely honest with you, I've never watched his fights. Not necessarily because I wasn't interested. It's because the UFC roster is so big that certain names just fall through the cracks for me, man. I can't get to everybody. Like, for instance, I just started watching David Branch on what you call Fight Pass, all of that. And yeah, man, it's just an example of him falling through the cracks. But on his scenario, on his situation with the UFC, man, the UFC is like King Kong amongst monkeys. King Kong can bully all the monkeys in the yard. He's King Kong. So that's what he's doing. The only person that King Kong can't bully is Conor McGregor. Another story for another day, though. Anyway, I think the reason why the UFC is giving him such tough fights with Frankie Edgar's and all of that is because maybe there is a strong disconnect between UFC top brass and his management, Yair's management. Maybe these differences have been around for a while, and they can't get over them. And Yair is taking the punishment for that, explaining the fact that he's had tough fights and year-long layoffs. But I don't know what to say to this, man. Anytime a fighter goes against the UFC, it ends up bad for the fighter, Hence why I am championing for Leslie Smith to get her fighters union, man. This is terrible. Um, I just hope he can get back, and that this really is fake news, Well, he could be the next big deal. But let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'm out.